Well, welcome to week 7 of W233. It's hard to believe how quickly the semester is going already, okay? It really starts to pick up steam here, and by now we should be really digging into your what you're really actually going to write about, how you're going to approach it, that kind of thing. And with that in mind, the readings all this week point you towards a thesis statement. That's what you're working in this week, and that's what you're going to be turning in Sunday night, what's called a working thesis statement. Now, that doesn't mean that the thesis statement can't get polished, can't get revised, can't even get changed. Sometimes as you actually write your paper, even when you think you're following your thesis statement, you find out that you went someplace else because the research took you someplace else. So that's fine. So this thesis statement at this point is not locked in stone, that you're still doing the research, and new research may change your thesis statement, or even as you're actually writing your paper, you may need to change your thesis statement. So this is basically kind of another point in the semester where I get to just check on you, okay? Like we did with the rhetorical analysis last week. I returned all those papers, I made all the sound comments and that kind of thing. Please make sure you listen to those comments, make sure you looked at those, make sure you're thinking about those when you actually sit down to write your paper. Go back and re-look at what I said about your rhetorical analysis before you write your first draft of your research paper, okay? So now it's time to do the thesis statement. Make sure you read the textbook readings. Make sure you look through my lectures. They're all very short. One is just simply a sound file. One is a web page from Purdue. Make sure you understand how to write a good thesis statement, and please write me a good thesis statement. No questions. Questions do not make thesis statements, okay? You need to be focused. A good thesis statement is simply going to tell what your paper is about, why you've arrived at your argument, or why you've arrived at the conclusion to argument, and then actually road map the paper, okay? It's very straightforward. It actually creates the organization for your paper, it creates the theme for your paper, it creates the content for your paper, it creates the constraint for your paper, what your paper is actually going to be framed by. So go back and think about framing, go back and think about Bruce Ballinger's 12th picture on the roll. What's this paper going to be about? Don't panic, just show me a good thesis statement at this point. I'll be able to tell, A, if you're getting close enough to your focus, and B, I'll be able to tell if you know how to write a thesis statement. If you need to revise it, polish it, change it later on, that's fine. You have permission to change your thesis statements, but it's important now that I get to touch base with you and actually look at something. It's important now that we start thinking about focus, that we've made some progress towards focus. So this is sort of a place where I get to assess you and say, okay, here's how you do in the course. All right? And you want to know, too. You want to know what I'm thinking. So this is your chance, okay? Don't turn them in late. I'm not going to deal with late stuff, all right? The discussion this week is just a fun one. It's just kind of a throwaway discussion. There's 2 points to it. One point is to just do more critical thinking. Look beneath the surface of things. Look beneath the conventional wisdom, all right? That's one point of it. And then the other point is that this week's learning diary asks you to find some rebuttal arguments to some of the arguments that may be in your paper. Now, I know that every paper is not strictly an argument, okay? I understand that. But nonetheless, you're going to make some points in your paper, and I'm just asking you, are there any other points out there that are going to contradict your points? All right, so, we're not doing a paper on evolution, but let's say that we did one on evolution and we were referring to carbon dating. Well, don't forget the creationists all say, carbon dating, it's fake, all right, doesn't work, it's not real. Well, you'd have to rebut that. That's all I'm saying. So what are some of the, I'm just asking you to look at your theme, at your topic, at your thesis statement, say, okay, what about my argument? Might there be people out there that can rebut them? And it's the exact same way with the immigration debate, okay? There's all kinds of garbage floating around out there, and a lot of it's kind of easily rebuttable, okay? That once you start to look at the facts, look at the figures, understand how an economy works, all right, how a capitalistic economy works, then you understand the nature of immigration, all right? So please pay attention. Week 7 is very important. This is kind of a key element where we kind of understand where we're going from here. It's another chance for me to really check up on your work, all right, see if you're doing the work. This is not an easy course. Please don't take it for granted, all right? It gets harder. My grading gets harder. I'm going to be merciless on the research paper. Please read the syllabus. I have a, what's it called? Mine went blank. Hate that. It's not a rhetoric. It's a rubric. I have a rubric in the syllabus. All right. There's also a rubric in the welcome folder on the home page. That's how I'm actually grading the research paper. When you turn in your draft, it's not due yet for multiple weeks. Don't worry about it yet. But be thinking about it. When you turn that draft, if it's not a polished draft, if you turn in a piece of garbage to me, and some of the rhetorical analysis weren't very good, okay? You waited to the last minute, that kind of thing. Don't do that to me. That's insulting, all right? And I will penalize you heavily, and you have to write a pretty decent rough draft in order to get a pretty decent grade in the class, all right? You still get to revise the rough draft, which will improve your grade considerably. But if you turn in a piece of junk, you're going to get whacked, all right, with a wet noodle, and it's going to impact your grade. So don't do that. So pay attention. This is a good chance for me to find out if you're paying attention and for me to find out if you're properly focused. So if you have questions, as usual, you know how to get a hold of me. Have a good week. Please have fun with the immigration debate. It's a good hot one.